What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, don't forget to like this video, as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video, clicking that button down below. And if we get 550 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 96% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 96% win rate. So we are on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 96% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be a link down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $350 just yesterday. Another member who won $150 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Justin Stansberry 7555 who said let's get it. So shouts out to him, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below on this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight to the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're talking about is none other than VJ Edgecomb for points and assists for 20.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at VJ Edgecomb, we actually have seen him go on the under in 1 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on December 31st, faced off against the Memphis Grizzlies, actually had 29 points and assists there. January 2nd, faced off against Dallas Mavericks, had 25 points and assists. Then January 4th, faced off against New York Knicks, had 30 points and assists. 26 points and assists against Denver on January 6th. Then January 8th, faced off against Washington Wizards and had 20 points and assists there. So as I mentioned before, he has gone on the under in 1 out of the last 5, but we also do see that his average over the last 5 is also 26. So it is slightly above this line, but we do like the under coming into this next matchup, as we do see that Philadelphia 76ers have themselves a very good matchup against the Orlando Magic. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. Looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with Philadelphia 76ers, they come in actually at the 5th spot when it actually comes to the Eastern Conference, having a record of 20 wins and 15 losses. That's a 57.1% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 10-9 from home, 10-6 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very interesting to see there. Now, looking at their matchup, they face off against Orlando Magic, where Orlando Magic ranks 6th in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 21 wins and 17 losses. So 55.3% win percentage in that matchup, 12-5 from home, 9-11 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So as I mentioned before, very interesting to see when it actually comes to VJ Edgecomb and also the matchup between Philly and Orlando. But looking at, this team Orlando and where they do rank defensively, we do see that when it comes to points allowed, they do rank 13th, only allowing 115.2 points per game. So they don't really allow a lot there. And when we also look at assists, we do see somewhat of a similar story, as we do see assist-wise, Orlando Magic do rank 6th, only allowing 25.2 assists per game. So they do a fantastic job at restricting points, at restricting assists. And that's a big reason why we do like the under for this one. Now, when we look at a team like Orlando Magic, they are a little bit more of a slower paced team. And what we are expecting coming into this matchup, we are expecting, actually VJ Edgecomb and Philly to, kind of get a bit slowed down pace-wise, as we do see that Orlando do a fantastic job at slowing down the pace from, other teams. So coming into this matchup, we are expecting a slower pace. And as we've always mentioned, slower pace leads to less volume, and less volume leads to less opportunity to score, and in this case, play make as well. Now, Orlando also do a great job against guards, so think that's great to see there. But looking at VJ Edgecomb specifically, what we do actually see when it comes to VJ is that, obviously looking at those last 5 games, he has gone on the over quite consistently, but it was or has been against much easier teams. Coming into this next matchup, we are definitely expecting the under, as I do believe that the games he has gone on the over against easier matchups, it's brought this line a little bit too high that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under. So that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. When we look at someone like VJ as well, and the matchup between Philly and Orlando, we also do see, looking at what the pros do have, we have him obviously here for actually 18.5. So it is a little bit of a different line for sure when it comes to points and assists, and a much bigger difference since, we have him at 28.5. But we do also see that, they actually have him evenly favored at 18.5. So, it is a little bit hard and kind of difficult to actually make a justification on this, specifically. So, for that reason, since the line is a little bit different, it is kind of difficult to go off what the bookies are saying there. But when we also look at actually, the projection, they have him projected for 20.5. So it is a bit difficult because we have him at 20.5. So 20.5 isn't actually the over. It isn't actually the under. It's actually straight down the middle. So, can't really, justify off the projection where it goes there. But looking at the last 15 games, we have seen him pretty evenly go on the over, go on the under over this last 15, sorry. So, coming into this, we do see over, these last couple of games, we have seen him go on the over in 53% of those matchups. And he's gone on the under pretty much in, 47 of those as well. So pretty much almost 50-50. Now looking at those pros, it's definitely a little bit difficult to go off what the pros are saying or looking at the projection, looking at the bookies. But overall, we still do like the under for this one. So for that reason, VJ Edgecomb, 20.5 points and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick.
So getting to the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Nick Claxton. So Nick Claxton has done a fantastic job for Brooklyn, and this one is for points, rebounds, and assists. So another PRA for 21.5, and this one actually is for more. Now, looking at Nick, we actually have seen him go on the over in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on December 24th, faced off against Philadelphia 76ers, actually had 28 PRA there. December 28th, faced off against Minnesota Timberwolves, had a 23 PRA. Then December 30th, faced off against Golden State Warriors, had a 28 PRA. Then 21 points, rebounds, and assists against Houston Rockets on January 2nd. And then January 8th, faced off against Orlando Magic and had a 13 PRA there. So we have actually seen, as I mentioned, Nick Claxton go on the over in actually 3 out of the last 5 games. And looking at those 5 games as well, we also do know that his average over the last 5 is 22.6. So very interesting to see, because that is, slightly above this line, as we do like the over as well. But looking at Brooklyn Nets, they have themselves a very good matchup against none other than the LA Clippers. So it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup between both of these teams. Looking at where both of them do actually lie, starting off with Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets come in at the 13th spot in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 11 wins and 23 losses. So that's a 32.4% win percentage there. They're also 5-14 from home, 6-9 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there. Now looking at Brooklyn Nets, they face off against the LA Clippers. And looking at Clippers, they do come in at the 12th spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 13 wins and 23 losses. So that's a 36.1% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 9-9 from home, 4-14 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So looking at that, obviously, both teams are in a little bit of a sticky situation. Both aren't really doing the best. But looking at LA Clippers defensively, we do also see LA Clippers come in at the 11th spot when it comes to points allowed, actually allowing 114.4 points per game. Then looking at assist allowed, we see that they face off against an LA team that do also rank assist-wise 11th, allowing 26 assists. And then rebounds allowed, LA Clippers do rank 8th, actually allowing 42.4 rebounds per game. So looking at that, obviously we have seen, them do rank pretty well. I would say, a little bit on the lower high tier when it comes to ranking. But when it comes to that, we do also see that when it comes to Nick Claxton and the LA Clippers, the matchup here, LA Clippers do actually do a very, very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the center position. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the actual over for this situation here, as we are seeing that when it comes to Claxton, we have definitely seen him struggle just a little bit, at times, but that is definitely due to tougher matchups, as we have seen in the most recent two. But we do see when he does face off against easier matchups, especially on a per position basis towards centers, we have definitely seen him, take advantage of this and go on the over, which is what we are expecting in this next game for sure. So for this reason, we do very, very much like the actual over for this situation here. We definitely see someone like Claxton going on the over in this situation here, due to the fact that Claxton is in a situation that his usage rate has kind of taken a little bit of a turn, and we have seen a little bit more of a bigger and better usage rate from him over the last couple of games. So we are expecting that to continue on into this next matchup. Now, as I mentioned before, they obviously face off against a Clippers team that, do a pretty poor job defending him. But looking at what the pros do have to say about it, now obviously we have him for actually 21.5, while we do see that when it comes to actually Nick Claxton and also the pros and what they do have to say here, for points, rebounds, and assists, they have him for 22.5. So, it is a little bit of a different line there. Now, when we look at the bookies and what they do have to say, it is a little bit difficult to go off that because it is a different line. But projection-wise, we do see it actually favoring us, because projection, they do have him favored for actually 22.9, which is significantly on the over for us, as we do, have him for the over for 21.5. So it actually works out in our favor there. So we are agreeing with the projection there. And then we also look at the last 15 games. We have seen him go on the over in 60% of those matchups. So it's definitely been convincing enough to us that, Nick Claxton has been playing great. And on top of that, has also had a very, very good usage rate as of lately, and should be able to convert these, this next game into a higher points, rebounds, and assists game for sure. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the over for this one for someone like Nick Claxton. So definitely keep an eye out for his line. So Nick Claxton, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists for more, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so let's get to the next pick, and we're going to be talking about Draymond Green. So this one is another combo one for points and rebounds for 14.5, and this one actually is for more. Now, looking at Draymond, we have actually seen him go on the over in actually 2 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on December 30th, faced off against Brooklyn Nets, had 12 points and rebounds there. January 1st, faced off against Charlotte, had 18 points and rebounds. Then January 4th, faced off against Utah, had 11 points and rebounds. Then 11 points and rebounds against LA Clippers on January 6th. And then January 8th, faced off against Milwaukee Bucks and had 17 points and rebounds there. So very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone like Draymond, we have definitely seen him go on the over, as I've mentioned, in 2 out of the last 5 games. And his average over the last 5 is also 13.8. So it is slightly below this line. But coming into this matchup, it is definitely going to be an exciting one, because Golden State Warriors have themselves a very, very good matchup against none other than the Sacramento Kings. Now, looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors have definitely had a pretty tough season. Now, they find themselves still in the playoff picture, but they are or have been expected to do a little bit better, because they currently rank 8th in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 20 wins and 18 losses. So that's a 52.6% win percentage there. They're also 12-5 from home, 8-13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very, very interesting to see there. Now looking at the Warriors, they do face off, as I mentioned, against the Sacramento Kings, where Sacramento do rank 14th in the Western Conference. Now they have a record of 8 wins and 29 losses. That's a 21.6% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 5-13 from home, 3-16 from away, and are currently on a 6-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see there. Now looking at Draymond Green and also the matchup between Golden State Warriors and Sacramento Kings, we do see, looking at Sacramento and where they do rank defensively, starting off with points allowed, we do see that the Kings come in at the 27th spot, actually allowing an 121.6 points per game. So they do actually allow, quite a lot of points there. Then looking at rebounds allowed, we do see that the Kings rank in somewhat of a similar situation as they rank 26, allowing 46.4 rebounds per game. So as I mentioned before, we have definitely seen Draymond Green and also the matchup between them and Sacramento Kings. We have seen that Sacramento do a really, really poor job at restricting points, at restricting rebounds, and we definitely are expecting Draymond to just be able to take advantage of this. Now, coming into these games, we have seen Draymond do a fantastic job, over the last couple, and yes, he may have gone in the under in some of them, but we do see that his usage rate does remain pretty consistent. So now that he does face off against a much easier matchup like Sacramento, we should definitely see him go on the over here. Now, when we look at Kings do like to play a pretty fast-paced type basketball, so do Warriors. So we are expecting a pretty fast-paced game here, and because of that, we are expecting, as we've always mentioned, faster pace leads to more volume, and more volume leads to more opportunity to score and rebound. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the over for this one for someone like Draymond Green. Now, when we look at what the pros do have to say, obviously we have him 4 points and rebounds at 15.5, but we have him at 14.5, but the bookies actually have him for 15.5, so it is a little bit of a different line there. But looking at this, we do see, looking at what the bookies say, bookies actually have him, interestingly, for an even, so an even between over and under, and the projection that they do have for him is at 14.9. So technically, although it does say under here, that is because the line that they do have is 15.5, but technically for us, that is the over. So we are actually agreeing with the projection there, which I think is great to see. But looking at also the last 15 games, we have seen him do a great job in some games. Other games hasn't really done too well, but it does look a little bit more of a 50-50 when it comes to that, because he has gone on the over in 46% of the games, which is, very close to 50-50 there. But coming into this, we definitely see that we are agreeing with the projection, and coming into this matchup, as we've mentioned, with all these factors taken into consideration, we definitely see someone like Draymond Green going on the over here. So Draymond Green for 14.5 points and rebounds for more, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so let's get straight into the next one, and we're going to be talking about Mark Williams. So Mark Williams has been playing fantastic, and this one is for a PRA, so points, rebounds, and assists for 20.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Mark Williams, we have seen him go in the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on January 1st, faced off against Cleveland Cavaliers, had 13 points, rebounds, and assists there. Then January 3rd, faced off against Sacramento Kings, had 24 points, rebounds, and assists. Then January 5th, faced off against Oklahoma City Thunder, had 14 points, rebounds, and assists. Had 13 PRA, or 13 points, rebounds, and assists against Houston on January 6th. And then also January 8th, faced off against Memphis, and had a 25 PRA there. So we have actually seen Mark Williams go on the under, as I mentioned, in 3 out of the last 5. And his average over the last 5 is also 17.8. So it is slightly on the lower side, when it comes to that average over the last 5, but Phoenix have themselves a very good matchup against none other than the New York Knicks. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams, but looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with Phoenix Suns. Phoenix do actually have surprised a lot of people as they come in at the 7th spot in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 22 wins and 15 losses. That's a 59.5% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are also 12-5 from home, 10-10 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So, very interesting to see from them there. Now, looking at someone like Mark Williams and also their matchup against New York Knicks, we do see New York Knicks also are in the Eastern Conference, however, have done very well for themselves as they currently rank 2nd in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 24 wins, 13 losses. That's a 64.9% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 16-4 from home, 7-9 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So, as we see right there, Mark Williams and Phoenix face off against a New York Knicks team that have definitely done a great job time and time again. But looking at New York Knicks defensively as well, we do see, starting off with points allowed, we see that the Knicks do come in at the 12th spot, actually, allowing only 115.0 points per game. So they don't allow a lot of points there. They also rank 9th when it comes to assists allowed as well, allowing 25.5 assists per game. And then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Knicks currently rank 6th, allowing only 42.1 rebounds per game. So looking at that, we have seen Mark Williams, as I mentioned, go on the under quite consistently. And with this matchup against New York Knicks, we are expecting, a similar situation. And that's definitely due to the fact that New York Knicks have just shown time and time again that they are a great defensive team. And they also do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists. Now, this definitely comes because, not only are Knicks great defensively, but we also do see when it comes to New York, they actually do like to play a slower pace type game. As we've always seen, slower pace leads to less volume, and less volume leads to less opportunity to score, rebound, and play make. And that's what we are expecting from someone like Mark Williams. Now, Knicks actually also do a fantastic job at restricting, points, rebounds, and assists to the center position as well. So we definitely see that being a huge factor here as on top of it. So, looking at that more in depth and looking at what the actual, pros do have to say about it. Now, we do actually see, obviously we have them for points, rebounds, and assists, as we mentioned. Now, we have him for 20.5, but the bookies here do have him for 19.5. So a little bit of a different line there. And on top of that, what we also do know when it comes to that is also that when we look at the bookies line there, it is actually even on both sides. So minus 137 on the over, minus 137 on the under. And as I mentioned before, this is a very different line to ours, so it is kind of difficult to go off that. But when we look at the projection, they have been projected for 22.3 points, rebounds, and assists. And unfortunately, that is a little bit different to our prediction because we actually have them favored for the under. So we are going a little bit against the projection here when it comes to that for sure. But when we look at the last 15 games, this is where we start to see a lot more evidence on why we do like the under, because we have seen him actually go on the under in 60% of these games. Although he has had some big games and being able to go on the over and also on a very high amount on the over, those games are definitely due to easier matchups and faster paced games. But coming into this next one, we should see a little bit of a different story here. So for that reason, we do very much like the actual under, as I mentioned before. And we have definitely seen, as I mentioned, his usage rate be a little bit unpredictable, as I see when it comes to Mark Williams, his usage rate isn't really the highest in a sense that there are other star players in this team. So, he isn't really first priority when it comes to his usage rate, and that unpredictability is what is leading us towards the under. So Mark Williams, 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Sam Hauser. Now, when it comes to Sam, we actually have seen him do a great job, and this one is for 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and this one actually is for more. Now, looking at Sam, we actually have seen him go on the actual over in 1 out of the last 5 games. And we do also see when it comes to someone like Sam, looking at those 5, we see December 31st faced off against Utah Jazz, had 10 points and rebounds and assists there. Then January 2nd, faced off against Sacramento Kings, had 21 points, rebounds, and assists. January 4th, faced off against the LA Clippers, had 11 points, rebounds, and assists. Then 11 against Chicago on January 6th, and then 10 PRA against Denver Nuggets on January 8th. So we have definitely seen him go on the over, only 1 out of the last 5, as we've mentioned. But even the times that he has gone on the under, he's gotten very, very close, which is what we like to see. And his average over the last 5 is actually 12.6. So it is actually above this line. Now, looking at Sam and Boston Celtics, they have themselves a very, very good matchup against none other than actually the Toronto Raptors. And it is going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. As we do see, Boston Celtics do rank 3rd in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 23 wins and 13 losses. That's a 63.9% win percentage there. And on top of that, 11-6 from home, 12-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So pretty interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at Celtics, they definitely have struggled just a little bit, but we also do know that they face off against, they struggled early on in the season, but they have been able to claw their way back into a really good position. But looking at their matchup, which is the Raptors, they do rank 4th as well. Raptors got off to a cold start, and now they are starting to really push the pedal to the metal, coming in at 4th, 23 wins, 15 losses. That's a 60.5% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 12-8 from home, 11-7 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So it's definitely been actually a really, really good, time for both of these teams. Both have definitely been winning, in all sorts. But looking at Toronto Raptors and this matchup and where they do rank defensively, we do see that they rank 5th when it comes to points allowed, actually allowing 111.9 points per game. Looking at assists allowed, we see that they face off against none other than actually, Toronto, as we mentioned. But looking at Toronto, they have 24.7 assists they allowed, which ranks them 4th. And then rebounds allowed, we do see that Toronto Raptors are in somewhat of a similar position, but they rank 14th. When rebounds allowed, allowing 44 rebounds. So they do a pretty poor job at rebounds, a little bit better in points and assists, but we still do very much like the over for this one. And a big reason being is that when we actually look at Sam and also the matchup between, Boston and Toronto, we do also know that Toronto actually do a very, very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to Sam's position. So for that reason, we do very much like the over for this one. And for someone like Sam, we are expecting him to be able to take advantage of this and go on the over here. Now, when it comes to the pace of this game, we are expecting a good amount of pace from both of these teams. I think Boston have definitely, picked up a little bit of the pace when it comes to last season compared to this season, and Toronto is also a pretty fast-paced team. So we should definitely see a faster pace type game, and as we always mention, faster pace leads to more volume and more opportunity to score, rebound, and also play make. But looking at Sam and looking at, what the PRA is for them. Now, he doesn't actually have a PRA out right now. But what we do know is that obviously we have him for 12.5. And when we actually look at 12.5, we've only seen him actually go on the over in 33% of those games. So as I mentioned before, obviously there is no line, so there's no projection as well and all those different things. But when we look at those last 15, he's gone on the over in 33% of those matchups. Yes, it isn't more than obviously the unders. But as we've always mentioned, matchups. That's what's most important. And with a matchup like this, we definitely see someone like Sam being able to go on the over here. So for that reason, Sam Hauser, 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists for more, I think is a fantastic pick.